now.
Hi, welcome to LoveYounity. This is our podcast. I am Hart Rossi. I am here with my co-host Beverly Goodwin. We are here creating with Alana Cartwright. Having a lovely chat today. Welcome. I was going to say welcome to our podcast, our YouTube, our group, our loving community that we are creating here with like-minded souls, people on the same mission. We welcome you. We are honored that you are here with us today, and let's get this chat started. Yay! Hi, ladies.
Hi. Thank you for that.
Yes, you're welcome. All right. So, Elena, you want to start off by just telling us a drop about yourself, like where are you from? You know, just a few little basics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So my name's Alana. I am a single mum of two, 17 and 4. Nice big gap there to make life interesting. I was just kind of getting my life back with my daughter, and yes, my little man came along. So yeah, definitely keeps life exciting, shall we say. So I have come on today. I'm from the UK, by the way, and I have come on today to talk about domestic abuse. And things that I am looking to do with this, because it's such a huge topic, and it's one that I feel we kind of still live in the shadows a lot with. We're still living, you know, in the 1950s and later with it all, and we need to really get off our asses, guys, and start moving this forward, because we cannot keep living the way that we are dealing with it, basically. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be talking about today.
Yeah. And how did you if you'd like to tell us a little bit about the background, why this topic is so important to you, and why you're so passionate about changing the way things are. I know you're in the middle of something big right now. You've been invited in, actually, because your voice has been heard, which I think is totally amazing. So could you share us a little bit about why this topic, because there's so many different things we could, go into, why this is so important for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is a topic we could be here all day and the next day and the next talking about. So I will try and keep it as succinct as possible for everybody. So I am now 41, and for 38 years of my life, I have on and off been in situations of domestic abuse and childhood abuse. So I had a highly abusive childhood, which of course many people will deny, but that was ultimately the catalyst for the ongoing situations in my life, situations that I didn't necessarily choose but found me. And I didn't have although I'm quite a strong person and I've come through them quite well, I've always been told that I'm a strong person, and I am, because I've come through these situations and I'm kind of like, right, it's happened, let's move forward. I've never spoken about my childhood, and I convinced myself that that was a sign of strength, that was me going, it happened, I'm fine, let's move on. And actually realizing that was a massive lie that I told myself. Lie that people told to me without them realizing it was a lie, because we look at people that come through difficult situations, we're like, you're so strong, well done, you came through it, you're fine. But actually true strength comes from opening up and talking and telling your story and sharing what you've been through. And to me, I always confuse that as being attention seeking, maybe, looking for sympathy. And for me, I was always like, I don't want to be that person that people look at and go, oh, you poor thing. I didn't want that. I didn't want people to pity me. And I saw that as a really negative thing, when in actual fact, it's the complete opposite. What we need to be doing is standing up and sharing our story. We need to be talking about what we've been through. There is no shame in it. There is no embarrassment. There is no pity, no sympathy. There's none of those things. And by keeping those stories to yourself, you are lying to yourself. You are allowing those patterns to continue. You are allowing those people that have been the perpetrators of this abuse, that have done these things to you, to continue what they're doing, because you're hiding behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And you are actually contributing to domestic abuse still being in the shadows. You are contributing to keeping it behind closed doors. And what we need to do is open those doors, let our light shine through, stand up and be counted. And for me, my breaking points came, what is it now, nearly 2 years ago. I had to go through the family courts with my son's father. Now, this man doesn't care about his child in any way, shape or form. And like many people like him, they will use the children as a form of control. For him, he's somebody who will do anything to protect a lie. So his lie was, of course, oh, she stopped me from seeing the children. These days, you can't use that because people will go to the family courts. Yeah. And the family courts these days will award contact in some form to anybody. There are perpetrators out there who have tried to murder the partner. They have tried to, you know, put the children in hospital. They've been physically violent. They've been abusive on every level to these children, and these children are still being forced to have contact with these people. It's shocking. I just can't articulate how this makes me feel. So as the other parents, you know, if they were to behave in the way that the perpetrator did, you would have the social services, you know, and whatever part of the world you live in, whatever your governing body of children is, we have social services here. They would be, if it was me, they would be on me like you wouldn't believe. If I was neglectful to my children, if I wasn't feeding them properly, if they weren't going to school, if they weren't going to school, something as simple as that, they would be on at me. I would be classed as a bad mother and all these things. And yet we are forcing our children to go to these highly abusive people. I mean, how does that make sense?
It doesn't.
It's not logical. I just don't get it. I don't get it. So the outcome of the court was that my son was forced to have supervised contact with this man. Now, at the time, I was not aware of other things that could have happened without my knowledge. Things that have come to light since. And were we to ever go back to court, I mean, we're 2 years down the line and he still hasn't bothered, so that speaks volumes. But if we ever were, the situation would be very different. Lots of things have come to light. As my son has gotten older, things have come out that he's been able to start verbalising. It's a very different spin on it. Also coupled with that, I was completely unaware of this man's police record. I was only told, I was handed it literally 5 minutes before I went into the final hearing. I didn't have a chance to read it. So what they do, they did a basic police report by the first hearing. There was only ever 3 hearings, and that terrified me. And it was at that point then I said, no, I am not agreeing to let my child go with this man. And that was the basic police report. It was supposed to provide me with the full one. They didn't give it to me until it was like 5-10 minutes before we were meant to go into the courtroom for the final hearing. When I read that, I can't even articulate to you what I felt. And knowing by that point that I had to take my son to this contact centre to spend time with this man. Based on what I went through with the court system, how I was treated, how I was spoken to, basically the minute I left that final hearing, I decided there and then that I would spend the rest of my life, if I had to, campaigning for changes to our laws. Now obviously, guys, just to reiterate, this is in the UK. I don't know what it is like everywhere else, but this is the UK. Now, what the situation we're living in as a society, is our babies are being forced to spend time with these people. They are also, the courts are allowing these perpetrators to continue their cycle of abuse.
Yes.
Without any, without any comeback. It's basically, here's a green card to carry on doing what you're doing, and we're not going to step in, because that's what it is. And this is a reason why a lot of these perpetrators are taking people to court, so that they can continue that. Because abuse, as we all know, is about power and control.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you end the relationship and you have the strength to walk away, when you start taking back that power and control, that unfortunately is when these people become far more dangerous than they are. And the worst thing that you can do to somebody like that is take back that power and control. And this is where we're falling short. We're putting in this support with certain organisations, housing associations, councils, government places, health authorities, the police, courts, etc. But we're only addressing the imminent danger. So you've got somebody in an abusive situation, there's children involved, right, we'll call in the authorities, we'll do what we need to do, we get them out of that situation. Once they're out of there, that support is dropped. And unfortunately, when that support is dropped and you're out of that situation, is when you need the help the most.
Right.
This is where the big gap is, and a lot of it is obviously funding and money. And this is where we're falling short. Now, in our situation, the harassment and abuse carried on for a further 18 months. Just to put into context, this man actually tried to kill us by sabotaging my car. Okay. I will never, as long as I live, forget the look on the guy's face who came out when we saw what had happened, and he looked at my car and he looked at me and he basically said, "Do you realize how lucky you are to be alive?"
Wow.
And it was that moment that I realized the full enormity of what this person was capable of. Knowing that his own son was in that car wherever I went, and it was that, and things carried on happening to my home, and this went on. I had blatant threats in black and white, and the police did nothing. We are still, all this 3 years after the relationship ended, nearly, okay, this has gone on for, and still this man hasn't had to answer for anything. We were eventually moved out of our home. We moved out of our town. We've had to move away from everything and everyone we ever knew. I've had to cut ties with every person, every friend, and move somewhere completely different where we don't know anyone, we don't know anything. And this is the extent that people are having to go to. They're having to leave their entire lives behind just to feel safe, because the support that should be there isn't. The courts, the police, they're failing thousands of people every day. This is huge. It's absolutely huge. We were placed into a hostel, and Bev, as you know, we've had a pretty horrific time over the last 5 months.
You have,
Pretty hard. And yet, given all that, I still wouldn't change a thing. If somebody said to me, knowing what you know now, would you do it again? Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. But it took all that time for somebody, and it was just a random phone call one day and a general conversation, and somebody went, hang on a minute, asked me a couple of questions, and they're like, we should have had you out of there a long time ago. How quickly can you pack? You need to be out. We need to get you out. And that's what started it. And ultimately, what kind of society do we actually live in, where innocent children trying to come through the other side of an abusive situation are forced to have contact, are forced to spend time with someone they're terrified of, and put this into perspective, my children didn't see anything whilst the relationship was active. They didn't see anything, okay? And yet, from that first point of contact, whatever has happened was enough to traumatize my son still now. He was 2 when he was forced to have that contact. Which makes me which makes it absolutely certain that there were some things that this person was doing to that child that I was unaware of.
Yeah, but the kids also can feel it.
Yeah.
They don't, you know, I can remember in my own situation, my youngest kid was so traumatized, and his father wasn't really abusive in that sense, but he could feel what was going on between me and him.
Yeah.
And the first thing he said to me when we moved was, "Thank you, Mum, for taking us away from that."
Yeah, absolutely.
It was the best gift I could ever give him.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is the thing, you know, people sit there and they can come out with all the excuses in the world, and one of the most common ones is the sake of the kids, right? I'm still there for the sake of the kids. It hasn't hit me. The kids haven't seen anything. Now, this man never hit me, never laid a finger on me. The day that he started becoming extremely violent in front of my children, he was out. He was gone. The abuse was everything else. And, you know, something that frustrates me with this panel that I've been invited to sit on, my first point of that I raised was, why are we still referring to it as DV, domestic violence? Why are we doing that? If we are trying to move forward and deal with all the other forms of abuse that are far worse, why are we still calling it DV? It needs to be DA. It's domestic abuse. It covers a multitude of forms of abuse. And when you are dealing with all those other forms, you know, I've been on the receiving end of everything. And I've always said, some people may agree with this, some people may not, I would rather take a hit than I would everything else. Bruises and cuts you heal from. The other things, those can cause permanent long-term damage. They damage you, they damage your children. So when you kid yourself that your children can't see any violence because there isn't any, trust me when I tell you this, they know. They absolutely know. When you say to yourself, for the sake of my children, for the sake of your children, get out. Get out. No matter how hard it is, get out, because that is the best thing you can ever do for them.
And there's so much fear around it. I mean, this is what we also need to change, and this is what you're doing with this panel as well, not just changing the systems, but showing an awareness of what actually does happen for you and your children, and also for them, because you're actually allowing them and saying it's okay for them to be this way, and it's not okay in any way, shape or form, and they need help too.
Absolutely, you've hit the nail on the head there. You know, it's like, if you love your children, you are, you know, and of course we all do, and we want the best for them. And if that is how you feel, then please sit there and think, what am I teaching them? You know, and for me, it was looking at my kids, and I'm like, I am teaching my daughter that it is okay to feel this way, that it is okay to live your life this way. She has watched people walk all over me her entire life. She has said to me, Mum, you need to toughen up. I get told all the time, you need to toughen up, you need to do this, you need to stop doing everything for everyone. And it was just within me, and I just sat there and thought, I am teaching my child that this is okay, that it is okay to be like this, and it is not okay. Because what we accept for ourselves, we're basically saying we accept for our children. So when your children grow, you need to sit there and go, would I be happy if my child was living like this? The answer is no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. So don't teach them now that that's okay. You know, and I think a massive downfall that needs to be worked on, for me, one of my main goals is to get into schools. We need to educate at every level. And of course, you can't go into a reception class age 4 and say, right, this is abuse. Show them, you know, show them a domestic violence situation. You can't do that. You need to educate in the right way, but all the way through. And what we've got to understand is, especially with childhood abuse as well, it's statistically correct that a child from an abusive situation will either go on to be the abuser or be abused. Because it's that cycle.
Yeah.
Right.
We need to learn to break that cycle, and we can only do that at the bottom. We've got children in schools every day that don't understand they're living in an abusive situation.
No.
We've got women, men, children walking around the world who are unaware that they are living in an abusive situation, because it's the mentality that if they're not hitting me, it's fine, it's not abuse. And that's not correct. It's not correct. And this is, you know, we need to educate so that people can see the signs, they understand the forms of abuse, they can sit there and realize that they're in an abusive situation, because only through doing that can they take steps to come out of it. And there are also abusive people in the world that may not be aware. You know, there's some that are fully aware and it's in them and that's who they are. But there are some who aren't aware. They don't understand because they don't understand the forms of abuse. And there are those that actually may know that they are and want to take steps to change that because they don't like what they're doing. You know, and there's so many different aspects of it, but ultimately we need, you know, we need to educate. We need to reassure people in these situations that they will be heard, that they will be listened to, because so many survivors will say to you, I didn't feel like people cared. I didn't feel listened to. And that's really sad, and it is very, very true that and it's something that's coming through very, very prominently in this panel. And from my own experiences, I was treated like a joke. I was treated, for example, one situation when my daughter was very little, her father, the abuse there went on for 3 years after the relationship ended, for 3 years again. And one incident, the police came and picked him up from my property. They put him in the back of the van. He attacked officers. He was out on my street screaming. He attacked officers. They drove him around the corner to his house, dropped him off, and he was back in my front door 10 minutes later. That's how
wow. So the system, it's not just the awareness to people that are being abused or the abuser, it's also, oh my God, there's so much in this. Like the systems, I mean, for me, it's many years ago when this happened for me as a child, but I was not listened to at all. I can so relate to that. The police didn't help, the school didn't help, the doctors didn't help. There was no one to turn to. And in the end, I had to leave the country because I just couldn't be there. So it's the whole system. I mean, even before we get to the courts.
Absolutely.
We need doctors, we need teachers, we need police to understand what this actually is. Because I know here in Denmark, if you're not actually threatened with a knife at your throat and more or less killed, then there's no threat.
There's no threat.
I mean, we live in dinosaur age. It's crazy.
and this is what, you know, is how in nearly 2020 are we still living like this? And what's terrifying for me is when we look at these organisations. So we've got the National Health Service here. So anybody involved, so your doctors, your nurses, your midwives, your health visitors. Then you've got the police, you've got the courts. Do you know how much training that, and only in recent years that they've implemented that they have to have this training? They have 2 hours. 2 hours training on what domestic violence is. And these are people who are on the ground dealing with it day in, day out. These are courts that are making decisions that can make or break someone's life. And generally they're breaking it. They are destroying lives. 2 hours training. And this for me, I think the massive downfall that we have in this system is we live in a society where the rules are made by people with no understanding of the situations we face every day. No understanding what life is really like. They sit in their little ivory towers, oblivious to the madness and mayhem that goes on beneath them. They have no idea. You know, it's with this panel that I've been asked to sit on, it's basically responsible for creating the strategies that deal with domestic abuse.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time coming, but we're heading in the right direction, having survivors hold into this and having their say. Because for any process to work, it is absolutely imperative that survivors are involved, because they're the ones with the experience. They're the ones who know firsthand and are living with the effect of these strategies. Why can I not say that word?
It is a tongue twister.
those processes, they're the ones who live every single day with the effects of those. So how can you possibly put these in place by somebody who has no experience or understanding? They have on these panels experts. I hate doing that, but experts. And then somebody was introduced, oh, this is the expert, this is our survivor. And it's like, how are you the expert on what I've been through? I'm the expert.
Yeah.
I'm the expert that can tell you about my life, what I've been through, how my children are suffering, and how your processes didn't work and where you failed us. Not that person. So we need more of those people. We need more of us. We need more survivors who have lived through it. We need more people to stand up and be heard. And this is, we need to educate at every single level what domestic abuse is. We need survivors involved in implementing training to these organisations. We need to teach every single form of abuse and educate people, educate them on what they are and how to recognise them. We need to make sure that those going through it or have been through it, even more importantly, like I said earlier, survivors are often ditched the minute they're considered safe. And that is the most dangerous time. And ultimately, they need to be heard because their voice matters. Their voices are the ones that will change things. Their voices are the ones that can take this out of the shadows, bring it out and start moving forward. It's their stories that can change lives. How amazing is that to know that your story and what you've been through can change someone else's life. We need to eradicate the shame that's linked to domestic abuse, because there's nothing shameful about it. It doesn't discriminate against gender, race, financial standing, your class. It can affect anyone at any time, and we still have this mentality that it only affects the working class, the lower class, the people living, at baseline. It doesn't. It absolutely, in fact, in behind the closed doors of more affluent households, it is very, very commonplace, and that again is, it's another statistic. It's just less reported. And we need to stand together. We need to fight this heinous epidemic that is sweeping through our society and being brushed into the carpet every day. And I decided almost two years ago that I would stand up. I'd stop hiding, because that's what I've been doing. I wasn't strong. I wasn't brave. I was hiding. And my past and everything that I've been through, everything I've lived through, has the power to help someone else. And I just couldn't live with myself any longer, sitting back, knowing that, having that knowledge and doing absolutely nothing. And I think basically my overall message for today is, that how many of you are going to stand up and do the same? How many of you are going to sit there and know that you have the power to change things? You have the power if you can put yourself back in the situation and remember what it was like, and know that there are thousands of men, women and children going through that. Would you stand up and help them? Would you do that? Because you have that power. Are you going to allow those that made you feel small and tried to destroy you continue to do that? Because the longer you live in the shadows, you are still allowing them to do that. You may have come through it and you may be fine and you may have moved on and you may have met somebody who treats you amazingly well, but by not standing up and keeping that, you are allowing them to still have that power. And for me, my huge goal is to set up a charity. That's what I'm slowly working towards. And, you know, I've sat here many times, I thought, well, there's all these charities, there's loads of charities, and they're doing this and they're doing that. What difference am I going to make? But I think the key failing that I've identified in the system is, as I've already said, that once that initial support is withdrawn, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And that is when the survivor is more likely to return to the PERP, because it's safety, it's what they know.
Yeah.
And that's sadly so true, that suddenly they're alone. You know, they may have been in this relationship their entire life. We've got women in their 60s and 70s that have been married for 40 years, and suddenly they're in a different home, they've lost their life, you know, and it can be a lot safer in their minds to go back, because they haven't built themselves up to move past that. You know, it can also lead to destructive behaviours, because you're trying to process everything and deal with this new life that you're now in. We need ongoing support. And that's where the failing comes. We need something to fill that gap, to get these people from point A to point B, to build them up, teach them the skills, give them the tools to empower themselves, and to build themselves so strong that no one and nothing can ever bring them down again. Nobody will ever take that power away again. And that is the only way to move forward effectively, because if you can't do that, and you can't take responsibility for doing that, you will continue that cycle. Until you learn to build yourself up, remember who you are before somebody tried to take it away from you. You are going to find in the next relationship, somebody is going to be the same. Because when you don't believe in yourself, you are automatically attracting that type of person. They sense it, you know, and we can all joke. I have over the years. I've gone, oh, I must have a total wanker magnet on me, right? And I've joked about it. And like, why do I always attract, you know, these people? And it's true. It's like a magnet on you, because the people who behave in that manner, they can sense that you have little self-worth. They can feel it. It's an energy that you give out, no matter what you try to do and how happy you may seem. Until you work on that, it is an energy that you give out that they are attracted to.
And what you send out, you call back in. I mean, that is a law of the universe. So whatever is in here, whatever you're feeling about yourself, whether you feel yourself worthy or unworthy, if you're feeling small and unworthy, then you're attracting people to confirm that is who you are.
Absolutely. And when you attract these people and you get into a relationship with this person, it's confirming what you believe, and so you're just continuing that cycle. You are continuing it, and only you can break it. Only you can take that responsibility. You know, and the group that I've set up is you know, this is what I want to try and do, is people who have been through these situations, or still in them, you know, that need to learn these tools, and that they're very simple. It's not an easy journey. It may be a journey that you're on for the rest of your life, but if you start today, in a year's time or 6 months' time, you're still going to be in a better situation than you are right now. And unless you're comfortable with this pain, and let's be honest, who can possibly be comfortable living like this? You know, then you need to take action. And the group that I've set up is to do that. It's to provide an online support group for people who've been through it. You know, that we can, because let's be honest, going through this situation is a very lonely place. It's a very lonely place.
Very lonely.
There's no support. You lose friends because they don't understand, or what you tend to find is the person who's abusive tends to be very charming to the outside world. So when it starts to break and come through to people, there are people who may not believe you, and that will isolate you further. And so this group is people who've been through it, who understand all of those things. It's a safe place where you can share your story if you want to, you can ask for advice, but it'll be, the key goal is to empower you and build you up to exactly who you are, because inside you are not this lost person with no self-worth. You are amazing, and you are strong, and you are beautiful, and you deserve so much better. Nobody deserves to spend their lives feeling the way that these people will try to make you feel.
Well,
you know, and you need to take those steps to take that power back.
I was going to say, I know for me it was super hard. I was with my ex-husband for 10 years. He was all of the abusive ways you can think of, physically, mentally, emotionally. I've been away from him for 10 years, but like you said, whenever you leave, you need resources. I noticed myself, I might even tear up, but I noticed myself even sort of being abusive towards my children. I mean, I call it bitch mom now. That's what I was being, but just from the years of being abused and not really knowing how to cope with it, and then having the stress of raising 4 children all alone, working all day, every day, and you know, like you said, not really having anyone to talk to. I also had to up and move my family 250 miles from where we are originally from. And, you know, it was just far enough away to where he wouldn't come, but we could still drive and see family, you know, over the weekends whenever we decided to. And it was extremely difficult. I mean, it's only been in this last, I'd say 2 years that I've actually develop some of the skills on my own to be able to take care of my children where I'm not abusing them mentally, you know, I mean, because I was just so angry and depressed and, you know, that I was very toxic for them. And I think having a support system would have made it a lot easier, you know. Hey, look, would you mind watching my kids for the night? I mean, even something so simple, you know, like, hey, I just need 3 hours. Do you have anybody who would volunteer just to come sit at my house for 3 hours, you know? Because then I went into another relationship that, I mean, he wasn't physically abusive, but he sort of had, you know, narcissistic types of qualities where, you know,
just sort of made me,
made me feel like I needed to stay in my spot and, you know, that sort of thing. And, you know, it's a lot. So what you're doing is absolutely amazing, you know, and very much needed across all lines. You know, I mean, here in the US, we have major issues. A lot of the people who are making the laws are the perpetrators.
That's the truth. You know, and that was hit home to me quite hard in the second court hearing. The judge that I had then, it was kind of like, you're sat there basically saying, yeah, this is exactly what should be going on. You know, I'm not interested. This is how, you know, and I'm going to say women because it relates to me and situations that I've seen. You know, but I am a huge advocate for men just as much as women. But his attitude was, women should know their place. And it was like, you know, hang on a minute, mate. Have you looked at the day and age we're living in? Catch up a little bit, because you're kind of like years and years behind. We don't live in that society anymore. But, you know, your story, I can just relate to so much. You know, being alone with children, and I'm the same. So as I said earlier before we started recording, you know, I'm having my first child-free night on Thursday that I've had in a long time. And for me, I've had no friends, no family, nobody that I could say, please, could you just have them for an hour? And that's the problem because if you're not having that chance to take care of yourself, it's very, very hard to take care of other people, no matter who they are and how much you love them. And for you, you know, that's actually really positive and great that you identified, you know, where you were struggling and how it was affecting you with the children. A lot of people don't, and that spirals, and it then carries on, you know, not abuse to the level that they've been in, obviously, but it starts coming out in other ways because they don't know how to cope. You're still trying as a parent to come through what you've been through and parent your children. That's without the time and space to recover yourself or knowing where to start to recover. And that is the downfall. That's where the gap falls, is people don't know. And it's something I've had to learn myself, and it's taken me all of my life to sit there and go, actually, my lie to myself was, well, I'm not a raging alcoholic and I'm not a druggie, and I've held down good jobs and I've kept a home and I'm a decent parent, so I'm fine because I'm living a normal life. you know. And when you go through like an abusive childhood, you have these people who go, well, actually, I'm this way because I had an abusive childhood. And my attitude is, well, no, I don't accept that, because you have a choice. You have a choice to make.
Always.
You always have that choice. You can choose to follow that, or you can choose to go the other way and be different. You know, so I don't buy into that. But you know, it is about breaking. It's about breaking that cycle. And for me, because I convinced myself that I was okay, I convinced myself that that didn't affect me. And so it took me a long, long time to sit there and go, well, actually, it has in different ways, because you cannot go through that situation and not be affected.
Yeah.
You know, and so now I want to try and empower other people and help them find the tools and the skills and the things that they can call on to move past it.
So what is the best way that, if, you know, there's people sitting out there for hopefully listening to this recording, because it's an amazing topic and it's a needed conversation, and it's needed more than just this once. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna follow up on this.
Yeah.
Because this is what this community we're creating too, is we want to shine light on people that are actually creating change out there, and you know, it's in so many different ways, but this is very, very important and close to our heart, because Hart and I have also experienced it.
Yes.
In different ways. So how can we make people aware of the best they can do for what you're creating on the panel, what you're creating in the group? Is it to connect with you on Facebook first and come into the group and start opening a conversation with you?
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
is that the best way for them
absolutely.
to,
I mean, that would be great. And I mean, I recently had to reach out to people and ask them their opinion on the current things that were going on with abuse and what their views were. And a couple of people didn't want to come forward because they thought, oh, I have to share my story and I'm not ready to do that, or it's going to open up wounds I don't want to go. And I just want to reiterate to people, because I think this is very important, that, you know, if you were to come into the group or speak to me or want to help in any way, you are not obliged to talk about what you've been through. Okay, and I really need to bring this home to you, because I don't want you thinking that you have to do that to put you off helping. You can help without standing there and laying your life bare. Okay. Also, equally, if you feel you need somebody who, you know, sometimes it can be very, very helpful to have somebody kind of outside that you don't know to speak to and open up to. And both those options are there. You get to share as little or as much as you feel comfortable with doing. And ultimately, you can be in the group and just kind of, you know, be in there and join in. You don't have to join in. It's your choice. It's led by you. If you are still in an abusive situation, please know that help and support is there to empower you, to support you, to help you find the strength you may need to get out. So yeah, I mean, by all means, connect with me on Facebook. I won't, unfortunately, add anybody into the group until I've spoken to them and chatted with them a little bit. But anyway, in this situation, surely I know that you will understand that, because it is a closed group, it is private, because I want the people in there to feel safe. So please do connect with me on Facebook, or through Bev or Hart if you know them, and we can move forward that way.
And we are in the group, and I'm sorry, Hart, we're in the group, and so we can confirm that it is a safe space, and you share a lot of amazing tools. You kick ass in there, literally, and you share yourself. And this, to me, is what's going to change things in this world, that we share ourselves.
Absolutely.
That we're not afraid to say, okay, I went through this, and these are the tools that I use. Maybe if they resonate with you, you can use them too. Or someone else in the group will share something. So it's, you know, that coming together, that helps.
Absolutely.
What were you going to say, Hart? Sorry, I took the words right out of your mouth.
No, I was going to say, that's an amazing, you know, feat, honestly, to speak to everyone who wants to join a group. It can be overwhelming. So that is amazing. And, you know, thank you for that, for providing that safe space to where, you know, you're not just letting just anybody in there. because some people do, you know, I mean, even though they answer some questions that, I mean, you can put whatever you want.
That's it. It's like a numbers game, isn't it? They just want numbers in and go, oh yeah, I've got this group of so many numbers. For me, I'd rather just have, if I had 5 people in there, you know, that needed concentrated support, I would take that over 500 people, you know. And for me, it's about protecting the people that are in there. It's not about how many I can add or how big I can grow the group, you know. It's about protecting the people that are already in there. So
yeah, we totally relate with that. This is the same with our group. Like, we do not let just anybody in our group, even though we call it LoveYounity and calling together. But it's important for those that are already in the group that the people that we invite in have the same ideas, and you know, they want to communicate with love, because that's what the group is all about. So we have to, you know, at some stage draw the line and say, okay, we're creating this with a purpose, with an intention, so we need to keep it safe for everybody.
Absolutely.
Right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
This has been amazing.
Amazing.
And
I do want to just I'm so sorry. I was just gonna sort of like, I know. Just make a little joke. I'm sorry, I put my US spin on your name, and Alana, you know, you were like Alana, and I'm like, okay, I messed that up. I'm sorry.
I've been called lots of things, honestly. I just laugh it off.
So
it's when I get called Alan or Henny Boo Boo. You know, Henny. You're US, aren't you? Is it Henny Boo Boo, that little pageant girl? Her name's Alana. Yeah. And Alana Morissette, I get called. And it's like, this is nothing like Alana.
Oh, amazing. This is not the last conversation we've had with you, because we need to really, I would like to, and I think Hart agrees with me, to follow up. What, you know, what goes, how it goes with the panel. If there's anything we can help share, or be a part of in any way, we can definitely. We support you 100%, and keep doing the amazing job you're doing.
Thank you.
We love you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Such a good job. I love it.
Thank
you.
Really
well too. Yes.
Thank you so much for your time, Alana.
You're welcome.
Have a beautiful day.
Bye.
Bye.